Okay, well, we're definitely going to be covering all the additional chaos that our idiot president has inflicted on this country in the last 3 days since our previous video. But since his big dumb face has been on our previous 2 thumbnails, we're going to start with a face that hasn't been on a thumbnail for an entire week.
President
Elon Musk.
President Elon Musk.
When he did not 1, but 2 Nazi salutes on Inauguration Day, there were, of course, attempts to minimize it or explain it away by not just the usual sycophants, but even many in mainstream media. But others were quick to point out that, yeah, those alternative explanations might make sense, if not for all the other existing evidence that Elon Musk is pretty down with fascism. In fact, he's so down with it that he's going around promoting it in multiple countries, and has continued to do so even at a time when, more than ever, a lot of people are sitting up and wondering, hey, wait, is Elon Musk a fascist?
Yeah, I mean, it took a couple, perfect good examples to get there, but they finally got there. And I did see a in real life recreation of an old Onion news network scene where, I think it was The Onion, it might have been a different thing, but they basically said, oh, if the salute that he did means nothing to you, why don't you do it right here in front of the cameras? And the person refused to do it.
Yeah, that's been the go-to line. It's like, okay, if it's not a big deal, do it.
Yeah.
Go
ahead. Say it. That's what I forget if it's an Onion or another comedy sketch show, but he's like, oh, if the N-word's not that big of a deal, just say it.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the N-word. Oh, words are just words?
Oh, say it.
Go ahead.
Now, if you or I were to accidentally, innocently, autistically appear to openly endorse fascism, we'd probably make it super clear that that's not what we meant. And then we'd lay low for a while, and at the very least, try really hard to avoid doing anything else that might come off as a little bit fashy for a while. But not Elon. After making a bunch of incredibly unfunny Nazi puns on X, just a couple of days later, he was live via Zoom at a political rally over in Germany, once again endorsing that country's fascist party and being even less subtle about it. And producing a perfectly timed, perfectly snapped photo where he does have that little mustache. Here's Reuters, though. Elon Musk made a surprise appearance during Germany's AfD, Alternative für Deutschland, election campaign event in Halle in eastern Germany on Saturday, speaking publicly in support of the far-right party for the second time in as many weeks. Addressing a hall of 4,500 people alongside party leader Alice Weidel, Musk spoke live via video link about preserving German culture and protecting the German people. It's good to be proud of German culture, German values, and not to lose that in some sort of multiculturalism that dilutes everything, Musk said. Oh, the particles! There's so many Nazi particles coming off of this guy!
Yeah. I mean, this is especially rich. I mean, if you've ever actually been to Germany or know anything about the post-war period of German, it's it is a multicultural country. I'm sorry. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. They brought over like a shitload of workers from Turkey in the 50s and 60s, I believe. Now we're like 3-4 generations back from that. There's a huge Turkish culture there, to the point where what a lot of us consider Turkish food is actually Turkish German food.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. Like, what the fuck are you gonna do? It's a multicultural country, and it's better for it.
Up until apparently very recently, it was highly, highly looked down upon to do anything even closely related to fascism or Nazism.
Right, yeah.
So
like,
it's very weird
while all the U.S. newspapers were like, Elon did a strange gesture, like over in Germany, at least
to be more blunt about it.
In the reputable news outlets, they're just like, yeah, he did a Nazi salute. And I mean, over there, they do take that shit a little more seriously than we do over here, for very good reason. So it is crazy to do that, whatever he did, and then like 4 days later, tune in via video chat with the furthest right party in Germany, the one that's constantly accused of being the new Nazi party.
Yeah, well, and it's kind of happened too over the past couple of days. I have actually seen like screenshots from X of people doing it ironically to be like, yeah, it's not that bad.
One lady, like a county supervisor or some shit, did it on TikTok and like immediately.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Everyone in her state was like, get the fuck out. And she resigned, but it was just like, yeah. It is, I mean...
Turns out that...
try it.
if you're an influential person, and an influential person in circles that you have entered in and become very friendly with, What I just don't understand what anyone thinks the response is going to be. Like, whatever you think the salute was, it clearly reached its target audience. So that, when it comes down to it, doesn't matter what the host on CNN thinks he did.
Yeah.
Anyways, it continues.
It continues. Last week, the U.S. billionaire caused uproar after he made a gesture that drew online comparisons to a Nazi salute during U.S. President Donald Trump's inauguration festivities. On Saturday, he said, "Children should not be guilty of the sins of their parents, let alone their great-grandparents," apparently referring to Germany's Nazi past. "There's too much focus on past guilt, and we need to move beyond that," he said. Musk spoke in favor of voting for the far-right party, saying, "I'm very excited for the AfD. I think you're really the best hope for Germany. Fight for a great future for Germany," he told onlookers. Vidal thanked him, saying the Republicans were making America great again, and called on her supporters to make Germany great again.
Damn, where have we heard that term before? It's almost been like 100 years.
Like, okay, so much like with the Make America Great Again, the first question is, okay, so when exactly
did that really
was the greatness at its peak for you when you talk about making it great again? And I mean, with the U.S., it's easy to point. I figure most people would say the 1950s, mostly because of false nostalgia, but also because they
it was a post-war boom.
Yeah, they benefited from a great economy and the New Deal before they got rid of that.
Yeah.
When was Germany great exactly?
I mean, look. I can't pull up the exact fucking source for this, but I'm pretty sure that this was actually used during the late 20s, early 30s in Germany.
It is if you study fascism, it is an inherently like fascistic way of looking at the world, where you're reclaiming past greatness that's been stolen from you by modernity and whatnot. It's fasci. MAGA is fasci. These people are fasci. Also, they didn't say it quoted in the article, but this whole thing is like, when Caesar came up and crossed the Rhine, he saw the German warriors and he said, "These are the greatest warriors on earth." And just really like, again, that's really fascy shit. This is stuff that Hitler and the Nazis, they were all about basically fabricating a past of theirs where they were like the best at everything. And if not for those dang Jews, we could still be like that.
This is all the problem though, is Elon continuing this and blatantly showing everyone what he means by it, and then getting away with jokes or mistakes is just, he's testing the waters. It's all that's happening.
Yeah. There's definitely an element of it that's just, 12-year-old who's mad that...
Pushing the limits.
Yeah, pushing the button, and what are you going to do about it?
Exactly. And apparently nothing. No one's going to do fucking shit about it, apparently.
So yeah, this is all a big, huge yikes if you know anything about German history. It's an even bigger yikes if you know anything about the AfD, who generally avoid saying anything too positive about the Nazis because it's straight up illegal there, but are still regarded as fascist, even by some of Europe's other far-right political parties. There's absolutely no reason for a guy like Elon to do any of this unless he's really, really into what the AfD are all about.
And he seems kind of into it.
Yeah.
All right, I guess there's one other reason. I mean, the AfD are anti-EU. That's probably big part of it.
Probably part of it.
I mean, yeah, it's very silly considering Germany's central role in the EU and how much they benefit from it, but that's xenophobia for you.
Yeah.
Things don't make sense. And Elon really, really doesn't like the EU, what with all their pesky regulations and governing bodies. They are one of the few governing bodies in the world that actually regulates what his companies can do, particularly X. And he hates them for it. But it's hard to imagine hating the EU so much that you repeatedly make it seem like you're a fascist, unless you are, in fact, at least a little bit of fascist. And I would imagine that once that seed was planted, it grew very fast.
Oh, it grew.
You put
like
the fascism seed in there, and you sprinkle a little ketamine on it, and boy, you got a stew going.
Maybe he put the fascism chip in his Neuralink.
It was probably a suppository.
Fascism butt plug.
Yeah, but hey, on the bright side, in other Elon news, the social network that he bought for $44 billion is as worthless as ever, even after all this time. Though I will admit...
That's not a value statement unless the value we're talking about is money.
Yes, it was worth it to him to seal the deal for the presidency, apparently.
Yeah.
But as far as a business, not great. Here's the Wall Street Journal. Banks are getting ready to sell billions of dollars in debt borrowed by Elon Musk's X, bringing Wall Street a step closer to exiting the nerve-wracking deal that financed the social media company's buyout. Morgan Stanley bankers have reached out to investors ahead of a planned sale next week of up to $3 billion of debt the bank and others such as Bank of America and Barclays lent to complete Musk's 2022 buyout of the company, then known as Twitter. People familiar with the matter said.
The banks hope to sell senior debt at 90 to 95 cents on the dollar while retaining more junior holdings, the people said. The banks just sold approximately $1 billion of debt in a private transaction to several investors, some of the people said. The debt has been an albatross on the banks since they backed Musk's $44 billion deal with around $13 billion in financing. The price Musk paid for Twitter was high even at the time of his purchase, and the company's rocky performance had knocked down the value. The deal is considered one of the worst that banks agreed to finance since the 2008 financial crisis. To sell the debt, bankers will have to convince investors that the company's financials have stabilized. Musk's recent rise in power and alliance with President Trump have seemed to help change the narrative around X's fortunes. Investors have been reaching out to the banks and have indicated interest in buying the company's debt because they believe that the company's financials are on an upward trajectory, one of the people familiar said. In a January email to staff, Musk pointed to the company's growing influence and power, but said the finances remain problematic. Our user growth is stagnant, revenue is unimpressive, and we're barely breaking even, he said in the email, which was reviewed by the Wall Street Journal. Hours after the Journal's article was published online, Musk posted on X saying that he didn't send any such email.
No, you see, now this is a brilliant tactic. You tank the company, and then it's all up from there. You know, the standard timeline for all these apps, it's just, you know, you're always seeking that growth. It just can never end. New guy comes in, you knock it all the way down to zero, and baby, it's green skies for the rest of the time.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, those banks that have been trying to get rid of it. It sounds like, I don't know, 95 cents on the dollar. Does that mean they're getting 95 cents for every dollar they put in? Because that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, taking quite the hit, a 5 to 10% hit.
I mean, that's better than I would have guessed because, like, up until now,
they're convincing the people to buy it, so.
Up until now, I mean, we've covered stories about this, like, over the past couple years. They have not been able to find anyone to buy this debt off them. Most of them bought the debt thinking it was a short-term thing and they'd offload it elsewhere, and no one came knocking. But now, with Elon's recent prominence in politics, there's finally some new suckers willing to take it off the bank's hands at a fair rate and assume that debt for themselves.
Yeah, the only thing I can imagine is if you're spending this much money on investments in Elon's product, it's the same thing as buying a week at Mar-a-Lago. Like you're buying access to someone in power, maybe. Like, I just don't understand what kind of actual investment this would be. Because
doing it from that angle seems stupid, though, because Elon, like Trump, notoriously not kind to the people he owes money to.
No, but there are a lot of dumb rich people out there with a lot of dumb rich money.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This is are they going to just continue to lie about the numbers? Like, the president has his own social media site that doesn't do well. So what does it matter that Musk does?
Well, no one wants to use the president's site.
Okay, well, I don't know.
But yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Now, though, it's time to finally run down what Trump's been up to for the past couple of days that we were away. And to be clear, it's impossible to cover all of it. We went through this back in 2016. But it's even worse now.
It's going to be really bad. The first couple of weeks. It's
early 2016. Like I had a plan of like a weekly Trump update.
You can't do that.
And it was just impossible. I was writing these scripts that were just. I'm like, this is ridiculous. There's no fucking way to cover all this.
And this, not to say that things are going to normalize in a couple weeks or months, but this is a shotgun blast of orders that he is intentionally putting out to see what they can get away with.
It's a blitzkrieg.
They do want like all of these legal challenges. They are anticipating them, and they want to win them because then that's it.
Yeah.
And who are those judges? A lot of them Trump put in place. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's flooding the zone in, what is it, football parlance?
Okay, I don't know.
Issuing so many executive orders and making so many legally dubious moves as quickly as possible in order to make it impossible to keep up with everything, much less stop any of it. But before we get to the new stuff he's done, let's assess one of his day one executive orders and see how things are going just 1 week later. Yeah. Here's NBC News.
An Indiana man who was recently pardoned for his participation in the January 6th Capitol riot was shot and killed during a traffic stop by a sheriff's deputy Sunday. Matthew Huddle, 42, was involved in a traffic stop at 4:15 p.m. by a Jasper County Sheriff's deputy, authorities said in a news release. It alleged that Huddle resisted arrest and was found to have a firearm on him. An altercation took place between the suspect and the officer, which resulted in the officer firing his weapon and fatally wounding the suspect, the release said. What did I say fucking 4 days ago?
Turns out releasing a bunch of criminals.
Or I think you said it. I wrote it in the script, but you said it. But it was like the Pizzagate guy and then that last guy that got arrested immediately after being pardoned. And then within days, this guy gets shot and killed by police. So, yeah, what we said the other day, how there's going to be lots of problems for these people in the near future.
Well, there you go. Also, here's the Houston Chronicle. Days before Andrew Tate was pardoned for his role in the January 6th riots in the U.S. Capitol, the Harris County Sheriff's Office requested he be held so he could be transferred back to Texas over a 2016 felony charge of online solicitation of a minor.
Jesus!
The transfer never happened. Tate was released from federal prison on January 20th after being the beneficiary of the mass pardon granted to January 6th defendants by the newly inaugurated President Trump. He is now considered a fugitive and is still wanted by Harris County authorities. He was not in custody as of Monday afternoon. Cool. We released a pedophile. The party who accuses everyone of being a pedophile and claims to want to protect children has released a pedophile into the wild, who is now a fugitive.
Here's Queen City news. A Mint Hill man who was pardoned for his conviction from the January 6, 2021 U.S. Capitol attack was also arrested last fall on child pornography charges. According to the federal court documents, the FBI and Mint Hill police carried out a search warrant in November 2023 for the home of David Daniel, related to the January 6th allegations. During the search on assault and trespassing charges, agents also recovered his iPhone and several other electronic devices. Federal investigators were made aware that Mint Hill PD had an open case regarding an alleged sexual assault of a minor. The minor, who was under the age of 12, accused Daniel of taking pictures of her while naked between 2015 and 2019, forcing her to shower with him and performing sexual acts. QCN chief legal analyst Khalif Rhodes said Daniel's attorney could argue the pornography charges should be dropped since the images would have never been found if not for the Capitol breach investigation. What?
Great fucking job, everyone. God.
It's almost like it's so infuriating. There was someone asking one of the administration people, hey, take this one guy in particular who was on camera using a taser to shock a police officer, admitted it in court, said he was remorseful, took the deal, and then was released. And you're fine with this person who literally is on video assaulting, and they're like,
he did nothing wrong.
We'll have to look into it. It's like, well, it's too late.
You can't look into it. He's pardoned. And that's the thing, is someone who is willing to do what a lot of these rioters did on January 6th, that's not something you just wake up one day and do. It does seem to indicate a pattern for a lot of these people, a pattern of criminality.
Yeah, they let the former president cook, and he cooked their brains, and it would take a long time to undo that. Unfortunately, and as I said last week, not only there you go, but emboldened them. Mm-hmm. And it seems like that is going to be where you're seeing a lot of this response, like the traffic stops that turn fatal, where this person has just been emboldened by the fucking president.
Yeah, I'm untouchable. I'm free. I can do whatever the hell I want, apparently. So, yeah I'm going to pull a gun on a cop pulling me over.
I'm saying that is going to be
I'm
the
untouchable. I guess I'm not untouchable.
You're going to see more of these. That's all I'll say.
But, so, yeah, that's how that's all going. It is so great that Trump let all those totally innocent people out of prison and wiped their records clean. It's very exciting. Anyways, on to the new shit. Okay, on Friday, Trump fired a bunch of inspectors general, which is, first off, a bit odd, considering inspector general is a job that seems pretty aligned with the goals of DOGE. They oversee federal agencies to prevent inefficiency. And they also try to prevent stuff like fraud and embezzlement, though, so I don't know, maybe that has something to do with it.
Sure.
But secondly, this was illegal. The president cannot just summarily fire these people. Here's The Guardian. Independent watchdogs summarily dismissed by Donald Trump have denounced the move as illegal and a threat to democracy that paves the way for the appointment of political lackeys and widespread institutional corruption. The sacking of the 18 inspectors general from federal agencies last Friday, including the Departments of Defense, Energy, and State, has also been widely condemned as illegal and as part of the Project 2025 plan for a right-wing authoritarian takeover of government.
But Elliot, like everyone kept saying all last year, including the president himself, He has no idea what Project 2025
Never heard
is.
of it.
It's definitely just the ramblings of a bunch of weirdos. In fact, he doesn't want to read it. He doesn't want anything to do with it. And how many times last year did we say, shut up, don't listen to him? That's exactly what they're going to do.
If you fell for that shit, you're a rube.
It continues. Hannibal Mike Ware, who was the Inspector General for the Small Business Administration until his sudden firing, told MSNBC that the dismissals were anti-democratic because they ride roughshod over a law requiring the president to give Congress 30 days notice and the reasoning for any such move. This is not about any of our individual jobs. We acknowledge that the president has the right to remove any of us that he chooses, but the protections that were baked into the act is everything absent having to provide a real reason. We're looking at what amounts to a threat to democracy, a threat to independent oversight, and a threat to transparency in government, he said. The former Interior Department Inspector General Mark Greenblatt told CNN he received a 2-line notification of his dismissal late on Friday night that offered no explanation beyond changing priorities. Greenblatt, who was appointed to the post by Trump in 2019, said the removals should be setting off alarm bells. The whole construct of inspectors general is based on us being independent, that we're not beholden to a political party of any stripe, that we are there as the taxpayers' representatives to call balls and strikes without any dog in the fight. And so the question is, what will President Trump do with these positions? Is he going to nominate watchdogs or is he going to nominate lapdogs? He said. That's a very cute little way to end it, but no, this is actually very scary.
Yeah, I mean, and it's worth mentioning, like, he's not the only one. A lot of these inspectors general were Trump 2016 appointees. Yeah. He put them in there, and I guess they weren't deferential enough. They were actually doing their jobs, and that's a big no-no for what he's got planned for the government. We can't have these people saying, no, that's illegal. No, you're just enriching yourself. You're doing fraud. What the hell? No, you can't have it.
It's very frustrating that in the first week, every bad prediction has come true, including the just anyone who even has the slightest pushback against him, even loyalists, are immediately cast aside.
Anyway, you've probably already put 2 and 2 together by now. This might be illegal, but, well, technically, according to the Supreme Court, nothing the president does is illegal if it's an official act. Mm-hmm. And that is the official line from the new White House press secretary. And what the hell are you going to do about it?
That they're trying. They're trying to see what they can get away with, and they're getting away with it.
Great job, everyone. Anyways, next up, over the weekend, Trump had the first international standoff of his presidency, and it was very dumb, but it won't be the last, and it probably won't be the dumbest. Mass deportations are fully underway, and that means loading up undocumented people onto planes and flying them back to where they were born. Maybe they haven't spent more than a few days or hours or weeks in the place they were born, but that's where they're being sent. Maybe they've been here for the vast majority of their lives and have an entire life here. Yeah. Doesn't fucking matter.
Maybe they escaped horrific violence and are now getting tossed directly back into it.
Which, so this would, of course, require some level of international cooperation between the U.S. and wherever they're flying these people to. But when Colombian President Gustavo Petro told the U.S. that he wasn't going to let the U.S. military just show up in his country and dump a bunch of handcuffed migrants, this set off threats of a very dumb trade war between the two countries.
Every American said, no, we need that coffee, goddammit.
Yeah.
And that cocaine.
I can't go back to tea.
Yeah, for about a day, it seemed like coffee was about to become exorbitantly expensive due to steep new tariffs. And on top of that, Trump threatened to block Colombian citizens from traveling to the U.S. and to revoke the visas of Colombian officials in the U.S. Colombia responded with their own tariff threats. All Petro wanted was the U.S. to do this without military aircraft and not treating these people like criminals.
Yeah, not treating them like fucking convicts with handcuffs and jumpsuits.
And as a lot of people have pointed out, the negative view of the U.S. military in Colombia meant that Petro just letting this happen would have been political suicide.
He had to do something.
Petro stated this clearly on X, saying, "We have never refused to take migrants, and we have made efforts to stop migration. But do not demand that I accept deportees from the U.S. handcuffed and arriving on military flights. We are not anyone's colony." So
it's a very touchy subject down there, and kind of forced his hand. Trump did this in a way that was just so out of pocket.
This is all like. It is a lot of this. The military planes is what makes this different. This is all a lot of marketing for Trump. He's getting the photo ops. He's getting the videos for this. Biden deported more people than Trump did in his first term. Obama deported. Like, this is something that we don't necessarily agree with, but this has been done in ways that even outdo Trump.
Yeah,
but he's putting them on the military planes. He's doing the perp walk. He's getting the photos for his
making
constituents.
a big show out of it.
So yeah,
there was definitely, obviously, some kayfabe to this. Like we said, like Trump was asking for it, and in the end, the whole thing was resolved, and all the threats were withdrawn. But the message here was the United States does not respect Latin America or its leaders, which has been the mostly unspoken truth up till now, but now for Colombians and South Americans in general, it's a lot more explicit. Yeah. And also Petro got everything he wanted. He's like, we'll come pick him up.
Just stop sending them military
stop sending
jets,
them military planes. We'll send a jet to get them. Yeah. And so Trump, both sides get to claim this as a victory. Trump's like, we finally, people are finally respecting America. But I don't know. It's sending a message to a lot of Latin American countries that are understandably, like close to the U.S. and trade partners and whatnot, that like they're maybe should look elsewhere. Maybe look to Europe and China as more reliable partners in a lot of ways.
Well, the funniest thing about all this was just the immediate pundit reaction of, well, we'll just grow our own coffee here in America. Why don't you go ahead and try that?
Yeah, we'll grow our own cocaine too. What do you mean?
I'm sure Don Jr.'s already on it.
Yeah, you can't. It's the whole reason. Coffee and cocaine are like they're in this like fucking Goldilocks zone where they do not grow. I mean, coffee they've
Hawaii's like, oh geez, don't let America get any more ideas.
Yeah, coffee at least you can grow it in places like Hawaii and the Middle East. Like it's been adapted, but it's still like you can't grow coffee anywhere in the continental U.S.
Horrific, but very curious to see an America without coffee for a couple of days.
I think there might have been like a revolution.
Yeah.
No. It would have been bad.
Don't take my mud water from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, what else? Oh yeah, this happened via the Washington Post. The White House Budget Office is ordering a pause to all grants and loans dispersed by the federal government, according to an internal memo sent to agencies Monday, creating significant confusion across Washington. In a 2-page document, Matthew J. Vaith, the acting director of the White House Office of Management and Budget, instructs federal agencies to temporarily pause all activities related to obligations or disbursement of all federal financial assistance. The memo, a copy of which was obtained by the Washington Post, also calls for each agency to perform a comprehensive analysis to ensure its grant and loan programs are consistent with President Donald Trump's executive orders, which aimed to ban federal diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives and limit clean energy spending, among other measures. The memo, which goes into effect Tuesday, states its orders should not be construed to affect Social Security or Medicare recipients, and also says the federal financial assistance put on hold does not include assistance provided directly to individuals. But the document says programs affected are including, but not limited to, financial assistance for foreign aid, non-governmental organizations, DEI, woke gender ideology, and the Green New Deal. I love how they act like the Green New Deal
ever existed.
Yeah, and this is like a message for Democrats that
might as well do it.
Yeah, I've been saying for years is like, if they're gonna act like you did something, you might as well just fucking do it.
Yeah, you might as well pass the most fucking left-leaning Green New Deal possible, because they're going to do this anyway. They're going to say how bad
about it like it exists, and his supporters all believe that it exists. It doesn't fucking exist because a bunch of you all got cold feet about it and preemptively dialed everything back, and then you got nothing you wanted. So just
like you wanted, nothing.
Just do the fucking things.
Yeah. Now it's difficult to overstate what an absolute clusterfuck this created. Federal grants fund numerous government programs related to health and education, among many other things, all the way down to
Meals on Wheels.
Meals on Wheels. Section 8 housing, like people who need money and roofs over their heads and stuff.
Yeah.
This is, and not just that, people's jobs. Scientists aren't being funded. Like, it's now, having said that really quick, a federal judge did put a stay on this until Monday.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, but this is outrageous. This is and it was so broad that everyone spent all day, or Monday night into Tuesday, all day Tuesday, just being like, well, what does this even mean? This is such a broad stroke that I guess it means everything.
Yeah, it's a vague two-page document.
Yeah, and by the way, a lot of these documents, people have gone over them and done the analyzing of everything. A lot of mistakes that lead people to believe that some of the executive orders and actions are written by AI.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, Even though they said it's not supposed to affect Medicaid, the Medicaid programs in every state reported that they'd been locked out of accessing their payment systems. It was a very chaotic day, and it seemed that, in effect, all federal spending had in fact been cut off, affecting millions of Americans who rely on programs funded by the federal government.
Or for their jobs.
But then the White House claimed that actually there had been an outage totally unrelated to the grant freeze, and that's why Medicaid was down. Whoops. Just bad timing, you know?
Yeah, whoops. Oh, geez.
And by Tuesday night, a judge had stepped in to put a hold on this nonsense. Here's the AP.
A federal judge on Tuesday temporarily blocked a push from President Donald Trump to pause federal funding while his administration conducts an across-the-board ideological review to uproot progressive initiatives. The order capped the most chaotic day for the U.S. government since Trump returned to office, with uncertainty over a crucial financial lifeline causing panic and confusion among states, schools, and organizations that rely on trillions of dollars from Washington. U.S. District Judge Lauren L. Ali Khan blocked the funding freeze only minutes before it was scheduled to take effect. The administrative stay, prompted by a lawsuit brought by nonprofit groups that receive federal money, lasts until Monday afternoon. Another court hearing is scheduled that morning to consider the issue. So, crisis temporarily
For a couple
averted,
days, yeah.
And yeah, as you might have guessed, once again, this is not something the president's actually allowed to do. We have separation of powers in this country, and Congress are the ones who appropriate federal funds, not the president.
And this is it goes even worse because it's not like he's stopping future spending. He's pulling funding that has already been approved by Congress.
Congress already did the work of like the
budgeting, everything that goes into these
and he's just
projects.
like, nah, how about none?
Yeah, that's the entire reason that Congress exists.
But yeah, Project 2025 was very clear about wanting to put a stop to that whole separation of powers thing and give the president more power over the budget. And Trump's pick for Office of Management and Budget, Russell Vought, is one of Project 2025's authors.
You keep saying Project 2025, but I was being told all last year that that's not a real thing, that doesn't exist, and the president would never even look at it. So I don't know what you're
Someone
talking
should tell Trump that this Russell Vought guy works for Project 2025.
Well, when they
I'm sure he'll withdraw the nomination.
They do the stamp with the Agenda 47 over all the pages.
Anyway, here's the AP.
In some ways, the president and his campaign went farther than Project 2025 in asserting presidential power over federal purse strings. In his Agenda 47, Trump endorsed impoundment. That legal theory holds that when lawmakers pass appropriations to fulfill their duties laid out in Article 1 of the Constitution, they simply set a spending ceiling, but not a floor. The president, the logic goes, can simply decide not to spend money on anything he deems unnecessary, because Article 2 of the Constitution gives the president the role of executing the laws that Congress passes. Congress acted during Richard Nixon's presidency to reject the impoundment theory, but Trump's circle wants to challenge that, potentially setting up a constitutional fight that would require the Supreme Court to weigh in.
Oh no.
Vought did not venture into impoundment in his Project 2025 chapter, but he wrote that the president should use every possible tool to propose and impose fiscal discipline on the federal government. Anything short of that would constitute abject failure. Well, shit.
Well, the Supreme Court to the rescue, right? They're gonna put a stop to this, the Supreme Court. This blatantly unconstitutional shit. They're gonna look at that and say, no way, Jose. We don't have kings here in America. We fought a whole war over that. So you can get out, Donald Trump. That's what's going to happen, right?
You have to say no way Joe now, by the way.
Oh, yeah, you can't say.
No, this is like, this is so unfortunate. And I hate to see anyone suffering. I don't care if they did fucking vote for Trump. I don't want to see anyone suffer. But it's going to, I think, be a wake-up call for a lot of people who fucking work in some capacity, in some relation to a government program that they haven't even thought about.
Yes, there's a trend in this country of people thinking they're totally self-made and they're not relying on any handouts or anything, but
even their company that they work for might have a grant that's coming from the government. You don't know.
So much money from the federal government goes to
Elon
various
gets a lot
things
of
that,
grants.
again, you don't think about. It's very passive. It's not. You're not thinking, oh, I'm spending government money right now. It's just
that's how things work. It's just working.
And that's especially true for older Americans who, skewed pretty far to the right in this and every other election. They rely on a lot of government programs. Anyways, making things even more chaotic is the fact that in the midst of all this chaos, We've now got to take a quick moment now to let you know that this episode is sponsored by Hims. Hims Hair, the perfect solution to all the hair that's been falling off your head in these interesting times.
Or just turning gray.
Yeah.
Like mine.
Go and give it a good tug. Look at all that. Just from watching this episode, you've lost half your hair.
Yeah.
Now, some men, like me, are able to navigate hair loss gracefully and confidently, though I did forget to shave my head. So that's why I'm wearing a beanie.
Ah.
But not everyone looks fantastic with a bald head, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to keep that lush, flowing mane of yours just the way it is, or maybe even turn back time to back when it was lush and flowing. And now with Hims, the solution is simple. Try Hims hair loss solutions, and you'll be joining hundreds of thousands of subscribers who got their flow back.
Hims provides you with convenient and quality access to a range of hair loss treatments that work, all from the comfort of your couch. Hims makes treating hair loss simple with doctor-trusted options and clinically proven ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil that can regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. Choose from personalized chewable, oral, spray, and serum treatments to find out what works best for you. The process is simple and 100% online, so there's no uncomfortable doctor visits. Sir, I'm going bald, help! Answer a few questions and a medical provider will determine if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your treatment is sent directly to you in discreet packaging for free.
No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. Hims has hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, and they can help you get your confidence back too with visibly thicker and fuller hair. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/itdaily. That's HIMS.com/itdaily for your personalized hair loss treatment options. hims.com/itdaily. Results vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
Okay, did you enjoy your break? Well, it's time to get back into the news and check in and see what else Trump did this week. Okay, well, he's taken huge steps to combat the single greatest threat that is facing all of humanity.
Oh,
so
good.
That's good. And that's,
What threat is that?
well, it's, I guess it's the mere existence of transgender people.
Oh yeah, we can't have that.
Jesus Christ. What a thing to focus on, Mr. Trump, you absolute fool. So the party of course, personal freedom really doesn't want certain people who make up 1% of the population to have the personal freedom to express their gender identity. And this week, they kicked things off by focusing on the military. Here's NBC News. President Donald Trump signed 4 executive orders pertaining to the military Monday, including one barring transgender people from enlisting and serving openly, and another cracking down on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in the armed services. The order pertaining to transgender military service, titled Prioritizing Military Excellence and Readiness, reinstates a policy from Trump's first term and rescinds an order by then-President Joe Biden that allowed trans people to enlist and permitted already enlisted trans service members to receive coverage for transition-related medical care.
Oh, quick side note too, the thing about just like, we're banning DEI, that's also resulted in just total chaos, like, cause they're like, we're banning DEI, if you continue to do DEI, you're gonna be in big trouble. But like not really defining what it is, just leaving it vague. So like the Air Force, they're like, we usually show our cadets like this short film about the Tuskegee Airmen, this like all black Air Force group, and like
yes.
So I guess we're gonna have to stop doing that because it's like racial. And so they're like, okay, we're stopping. And then Pete Hegseth's like, no, why would you do that? That's unacceptable.
Yeah,
it's like,
motherfucker,
what?
This is what you asked
We don't
for.
know what the fuck you want.
Go have a fucking Heineken, bitch.
Oh, he's craving one so bad.
Ooh, he's got the shakes, baby. He's got the tremors.
Anyway, it continues. It is the policy of the United States government to establish high standards for troop readiness, lethality, cohesion, honesty, humility, uniformity, and integrity, the order states. This policy is inconsistent with the medical, surgical, and mental health constraints on individuals with gender dysphoria. This policy is also inconsistent with shifting pronoun usage or use of pronouns that inaccurately reflect an individual's sex. The order mandates that the Defense Department update its military medical standards within 60 days, promptly end invented and identification-based pronoun usage, and prohibit people assigned male at birth from using women's sleeping, changing, and bathing facilities. The order will take time to implement, so transgender service members will not be immediately ejected. It's unclear what will happen to service members who are receiving transition-related care through TRICARE, the military's healthcare program. Biden signed a defense bill in December that barred coverage of gender-affirming care for trans children of service members, so that care was already prohibited. Thanks, Joe. Also, they
Are
don't
they
even.
just going to dishonorably discharge a bunch of transgender soldiers?
Yeah, I mean,
Because
like
that would have bad implications on their future prospects as well.
yeah, it wouldn't be good. And again, the party of respecting the troops. I guess there's
certainly
some
hate the troops.
there's some asterisks after that. Depends on the troop, actually.
And then,
it's
they get very confused and defensive for some reason if you bring up the Tuskegee Airmen.
It's so funny too, like talking about everyone needs to be combat ready. It's like fucking like 9 out of 10 service members not only won't see combat, but like won't even be in a fucking like position to ever see combat. Like it's just
The
a very
modern military
silly to like look at the military like, oh, these people are all running out on the battlefield.
This is again another thing that's being done with a very intentional purpose to really solidify who Donald Trump is in the very early stages of this presidency, the presidency where he has no boundaries at all.
Yeah, they also, oh God, they didn't even include in the article like part of the executive order that's just like, being a soldier in the U.S. military is all about like humility and, it's just, it goes against every value of military service to think that you can change your gender. Like that's a very prideful thing it's so fucking ridiculous, man.
Ugh. Anyways, this is effectively a ban on trans people serving in the military, and it seems to go even further than Trump's 2017 trans military ban, at least with the language. And just like with everything Trump's done so far, there's thankfully already legal pushback. Again, they're bending until something breaks. They're trying to get this stuff in front of the courts.
Yeah.
Here's NBC News. 2 national LGBTQ legal organizations filed a federal lawsuit Tuesday challenging President Donald Trump's executive order barring transgender people from serving and enlisting in the military. The suit was filed on behalf of 6 active-duty trans service members and 2 trans people seeking to enlist. The ban betrays fundamental American values of equal opportunity and judging people on their merit, Jennifer Levi, the Senior Director of Transgender and Queer Rights at GLBTQ Legal Advocates and Defenders, GLAD Law, said in a statement. It slams the door on qualified patriots who meet every standard and want nothing more than to serve their country, simply to appease a political agenda. That's not just un-American, it makes our country weaker by pushing away talented service members who put their lives on the line every day for our nation.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's just these people, like I wouldn't sign up for the fucking military. It's not for me. And like, I'm not into the whole, like, thank you for your service shit, but like, I do have to, I have to respect someone who is willing to sign up for it.
Yeah, people that join with good intentions to serve their country are doing it in a very noble way that is hard to not respect, but yeah, it's, the system that's in place is not very...
you want people who want to be in the military, and that's how shit has worked since we got rid of the draft. And last I checked, we're at like fucking all-time lows of like voluntary enlistment.
Well, before 9/11, because 9/11 was obviously like huge for recruitment.
Yeah.
But like, it was a very, obviously very specific time for me personally. But like my whole thing, and I think this just comes down to like, just being like a hyperactive kid or whatever, is just like, a lot of people that I knew in like JROTC in high school or whatever were just like, yeah, the Army will give me like discipline. It'll teach me things that I need to do. And like,
it'll
like,
fix my shit.
It's like, that should probably be figured out without the need of of military service where like you have to have the will to get up and make your bed every morning or like pay your bills or file things correctly. It's just like,
it works for some people, and that's obviously not factoring in what the military does. I'm just saying military service in general.
Yeah.
It's you shouldn't treat the people, you claim to love the military and love the troops, you shouldn't treat the people who sign up to put their lives on the line, or maybe not, but at least sign up to like dedicate years of their lives to doing this, like the way you're treating them here. It's fucked up.
Yeah. Someone actively wants to join amidst like a complete downturn in enlistment, and they're like, I don't know. I don't think so.
Anyway, the article then, they talked to one of the plaintiffs, this guy right here, who's apparently supposed to just go back to being a woman in the eyes of the U.S. military despite looking like that. That's a dude. One of the plaintiffs, Army 2nd Lieutenant Nicholas Talbot, is a 31-year-old transgender man who has served with distinction in an Army Reserve unit in Pennsylvania, according to the lawsuit. Talbot, the suit adds, was named honor graduate at basic combat training by his drill sergeants for going above and beyond in training and stepping up to leadership roles. When you put on the uniform, differences fall away, and what matters is your ability to do the job, Talbot said in a statement. Every individual must meet the same objective and rigorous qualifications in order to serve. It has been my dream and my goal to serve my country for as long as I can remember. My being transgender has no bearing on my dedication to the mission, my commitment to my unit, or my ability to perform my duties in accordance with the high standards expected of me and every service member.
Yeah, again, it's just being cruel for being cruel's sake.
Yeah, and I mean, like, with so much of this shit, like, trans people in sports, transgender care for youth or whatever, there are governing bodies who their sole focus is how these things are run. And if the actual people in the military, the officers, the generals, the military leadership thinks this is fine, who the fuck are you to come along and say, no, it's not. No. I know you actually deal with this shit on a daily basis and it's your whole fucking thing, but like, nah, actually, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And we're going to make the decision for you.
Well, next up, Trump went after transgender children, who Republicans are all convinced are walking into doctors' offices and immediately undergoing invasive, irreversible surgeries, and not what's actually the case, which is for the vast, overwhelming majority, it's just getting therapy, temporarily blocking puberty via hormones, socially transitioning, and being addressed by their preferred pronouns by their pediatricians. Pretty fucking harmless stuff. But now every trans kid who saw a bright future for themselves living in accordance with their gender identity has to just live in despair until they're at least 19. And let's be real here, Trump's coming after all trans adults as well.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, the military, and then like among federal hiring, anti-DEI just means don't hire trans people.
Or whoever you don't want to, just by looking at them. Here's ABC News. President Donald Trump signed an executive order Tuesday seeking to restrict gender-affirming care for people under the age of 19. The order would move to restrict medical institutions that receive federal funding from providing such care, including puberty blockers, hormone therapies, and surgeries, calling on the Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services to take all appropriate actions to end the chemical and surgical mutilation of children. The executive order does not appear to restrict these procedures for non-transgender people under 19.
The 19 thing, people are very confused by that. It's like, is that a fucking typo? Because you're a fucking legal adult at 18.
18, yeah.
You can vote, you can serve in the military, you are legally an adult. But I guess when it comes to getting gender-affirming care, you're not.
They want to give you the gap year.
Anyway, it continues. It's the latest action from Trump that impacts the transgender community, which is estimated to make up less than 1% of the population over the age of 13. Trump also recently signed executive orders restricting transgender participation in the military, ending federal legal recognition of transgender people, and restricting gender marker changes on federal documents. Major national medical associations, including the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Medical Association, the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, and more than 20 others, argue that gender-affirming care is safe, effective, beneficial, and medically necessary. Amid an increase in states moving to ban gender-affirming youth care, the American Psychological Association said in February it opposes state bans, quote, which are contrary to the principles of evidence-based healthcare, human rights, and social justice, and which should be reconsidered in favor of policies that prioritize the well-being and autonomy of transgender, gender-diverse, and non-binary individuals.
So the overwhelming consensus in the medical community is that gender-affirming care for youth is, according to all the available evidence, a good thing. But Trump and the Republican Party obviously don't give a fuck what actual doctors think about anything. Trump just says, hey, just tell everyone I'm 220, 6'5". We're good. The Save the Children crowd is actively creating a situation where self-harm and suicide among youths is going to increase. And the ones who manage to live through this are gonna have a bad time. We all saw this coming, but it's still awful to see it carried out. And every dipshit centrist contrarian who piped in over the last few years to carry water for conservatives on this issue needs to have a little bit of self-reflection. Reflect on what you've done, but chances are they won't. Anyways, just to be abundantly fucking clear, we love our trans audience members and the trans community in general. Protect trans kids. Protect them in your local community. Protect your friends and neighbors. And fuck all these people that are making their lives harder.
Anyways, I guess that's a good point to end things for today. We didn't even get to everything.
No, there's so much.
There was a lot.
We got China undermining the entire tech industry in a very funny way.
Yeah. So yeah, there was a lot to catch up on from the weekend, and we will continue catching up in tomorrow's episode, where among all the other Trump bullshit, we will discuss how the AI bubble seems to be suddenly imploding in a very predictable way.
What do you mean they weren't doing anything?
Until then, though, please be sure to like the video, leave a comment down below, even if it's just unintelligible grunting.
Smash that keyboard, smash that like button.
And if you need to catch up on all the other bullshit, the videos will be appearing on screen shortly. But first,
wait.
big announcement for everyone.
Get back in here. If you were closing the video, come on back.
There's a big game coming up, but what if you don't care about that? What if you're looking for more options for what to do on football's biggest day of the year? Well, we're going to be a part of James Willems, Old James's next live trivia competition on Sunday, February 9th. So if you're in LA
or around the area,
get your tickets at the link below in the description. They're probably going to go quickly.
Yeah.
And even if you're not able to attend, you can buy tickets to watch it live via live stream. Should be some much needed fun.
Yes, I'm very excited. It's one of my favorite venues in town. We haven't been on stage in a very long time.
Been a while.
Yeah, so we would like it very much if all of you showed up.
All of you.
All of you. All 100-something thousand of you
Yes.
show up to Dynasty Typewriter, which I believe holds 75 to 150.
It's a small theater, yeah.
But it's a great theater, and we love it, and we are very excited.
And depending on how this goes, I don't know, maybe more live shows.
We want to do
from
something.
us in the
We got to
future.
figure out how to do it, but we'll do something.
Well, that's why Joel's apparently running all the James
We have lots
shows.
of questions for
So
Joel.
we'll just say, hey, Joel, do it. I want what you've done for others.
Yeah. I see what you've done for others, and I want it for myself.
Anyway, the videos are up there now. We'll see you soon.
And buy those tickets. Leave a link in the description
Yeah, they'll be down.
for the Dynasty Typewriter show, and we'll see you soon for some tech news.
Bye-bye.
Bye.